Greetings and welcome to the very special CCP Halloween special, where we will be covering our top 12 favorite angry video game nerd episodes.
Whoa, wait, I thought we were reviewing scary movies for Halloween.
We are! The Angry Video Game Nerd makes great horror-themed videos. Remember the Nightmare on Elm Street video where the nerd clones himself and Freddy slices up all the clones?
Oh yeah!
Or what about when he reviewed Friday the 13th for the NES?
Huh?
How do you not remember? You're dressed as Jason Voorhees.
Who?
Jason Voorhees, the monster from Friday the 13th.
No, I'm not. I'm a spooky hockey goalie. Besides, Friday the 13th is rated R. My dad says I'm not old enough to watch it.
But your dad lets you watch the Angry Video Game Nerd? Over the last 15 years or so, the Angry Video Game Nerd has become one of the most beloved and lasting features of internet pop culture. The creation of the character even transcends the history of YouTube, since the original Angry Nintendo Nerd videos were part of a compilation created in 2004. YouTube wasn't launched until 2005. From that time up until the present, we have seen drastic changes to internet culture. The meteoric rise of powerful monoliths like Google, Amazon, and Facebook. The fall of MySpace and independent video hosting. The end of Flash animation cartoons. Homestar Runner, Screw Attack, and college humor. The Angry Video Game Nerd precedes the birth of meme culture, smartphones, and Reddit. From a cultural perspective, this character is practically from another world. And yet millions of people continue to obsess over him. Especially these guys. I mean, wow, guys. Get a life. The Angry Video Game Nerd character is inseparable from its creator, James Rolfe, and his homemade film company, Massacre Productions, that's been active as far as James Rolfe is concerned since he first picked up a camera in 1989, when he was about 9 years old. But he wasn't messing around. As a kid, James Rolfe would go on to make something like 100 movies, with increasing levels of complexity and depth. Eventually, this drive to make movies, by any means necessary, would lead to film school, more movies, and in 2003, an official website. But along the way, especially in art school at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia, James made friendships that would be vital to both the creation of the Angry Video Game Nerd character and the future mainstream popularity of Cinemassacre. At some point in the early 2000s, James Rolfe would meet Mike Matei, a cartoonist and animator who became every bit as important to Cinemassacre as James himself, managing the website, creating art assets, and helping give birth to the Angry Video Game Nerd character. A common bond between James and Mike was old NES video games, something universal to kids of the 80s, but definitely idiosyncratic and perhaps even a little strange by the year 2000. Collecting and playing NES games in the early 2000s was far from mainstream. There was no retro gaming craze, no mini consoles, no Wii Virtual Console, emulators were few, ROMs scarce, and of course there were no retro gaming personalities to promote older video games. No GameSack, no Metal Jesus, no Gaming Historian, no Genovi, no Pat the NES Punk, no JonTron, no Scott the Woz.
What in the heck is a Scott the Woz?
I don't know. And before all of them, there was even no Angry Video Game Nerd. The first and the foremost. And if not for Mike Matei, there wouldn't have even been that. The origins of the angry beer-swilling video game character can be traced to a 2002 short film directed by Mike Matei and starring James Rolfe as a disgruntled and aging Mario. Not Super Mario of the video game, but Mario, the landlord of Nintendo of America, for whom the game was named. The joke being that it sucks to be him, for some reason. But the parallels between the future Angry Video Game Nerd character and this film are unmistakable, except for that mustache. What in the world was going on there? Then in 2006, after lying dormant for years, Mike Matei created a YouTube account for the Nintendo Nerd character and posted the first 2 Angry Video Game videos, the first being a review of Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, that went viral, even though the nerd character wasn't even in it. Out of art school and trying to make a name for himself as an independent artist, James Rolfe and Mike Matei teamed up to make the angry video game nerd into a routine internet sensation. Quickly, the show was picked up by Screw Attack and wound up as a Game Trailers exclusive, and quickly became one of the best reasons to frequent that site. Indeed, it would be many years until the angry video game nerd character was really closely associated with YouTube at all. They had another guy for that. It was around 2009 that I discovered the angry video game nerd for myself. I was a university student and a new father. Sometimes when my wife was at work or out getting some exercise, I'd be alone with my baby daughter. So what else would we do except watch the angry video game nerd while she slept on my chest? When I saw the nerd's Halloween videos, I was instantly a fan. Almost no one else was striving to make such well-edited cinematic content at that time. His videos felt homemade, which made them relatable and accessible, and yet they were plainly a professional product made by an expert with years of experience, and a refined taste for horror films, which happened to be my favorite film genre. I'd continue to watch regularly for years to come, and always on GameTrailers.com. I honestly didn't spend much time on YouTube back in those days. Let's just say its content wasn't exactly for me. Eventually, however, things would slow down, and James made it clear that he wanted to shift to other things. An angry video game nerd movie was in the works, and it was clear that making feature-length films was what James wanted to do in the near future.
You know, you gotta understand that making movies has been my life mission, and that the Nerd series was a side project, or at least at the time it was, and what do you know, it exploded and it took on a life of its own. So since 2006, when the Nerd series became popular on YouTube, one of the first thoughts on my mind was, how do I turn this into a movie?
And who could blame him? However, the movie thing never seemed to pan out. As we get older, our life changes. So do our goals and priorities. But I'm still a big fan of Cinemassacre and James Rolfe, and Mike Matei, and all of the other guys who collaborated with the angry video game nerd over the years. Some people on the internet don't like the more recent shift in the nerd's direction, or the content of Cinemassacre itself, and that's fine. Everyone always seems to know what's best for other people. It's human nature. And if I'm being honest, maybe I prefer the old stuff too, but no one can take away from what Cinemassacre, James Rolfe, Mike Matei, Kyle Justin, the music guy, Bad Luck Bootsy, or this movie-loving caveman have accomplished for the channel and the brand. And because we love the angry video game nerd, and because Cinemassacre, James Rolfe, and the angry video game nerd are forever associated with Halloween in our household, here are our top 12 favorite angry video game nerd episodes. Number 12, the Castlevania Marathon, October 8th, 2009. Released over 4 parts on GameTrailers.com, the Castlevania Marathon was James Rolfe's chance to turn his attention away from reviewing bad games and instead focus in on his childhood favorite, Castlevania by Konami. Not only was this a chance for James to redo his original Angry Nerd video about Castlevania 2, which never even featured his character on screen, but it was one of the few times James would get to speak about something he loves, in full nerd character, making this less of an angry nerd video and more of a frustrated nerd, except for when it comes to Castlevania for Nintendo 64. That game was terrible.
My favorite parts are whenever the nerd's on the screen, because you can really see his reactions.
Yeah, I love the part where he tries to whip the candlesticks and sets his carpet on fire. I'm not gonna lie, I've actually done that too. Sorry, Mom.
Oh, and I love the part at the end of part 1 where they keep doing a close-up of Castlevania 2. He's like, no, not that one, over and over.
Which is great because he spends a lot of time redoing Castlevania 2, and I have to say, despite its flaws, he makes the game look a lot better this time. I still think it sucks, but it's a nice kind of suck, like with a lemon.
Then the Castlevania series gets really weird. You turn into a hunchback, a bat, a wizard, then they go all 3D on you. Then it turns into a Metroid with Dracula's son. Like, these are a bunch of different games.
Yeah, Castlevania went through a lot of weird stages. I'm completely shocked he didn't bother to review the Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine. That's the best one.
I had a lot of fun with this series, and I think it's cool just to see someone joking around and recreating the experience of it. Because Castlevania is still around, but I never get to see what it was like when these games were new.
True. It turns out that it can be just as fun to watch someone appreciate classic games as much as watching them get pissed off at them, though this episode had plenty of that too. Number 11, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween, from October of 2007. For a lot of people, the Angry Video Game Nerd's 2006 Halloween special, which saw him doing film parodies of both Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, were the highlights of the show's first season. No other nerd episodes up until this point did that much to utilize James Rolfe's skills as a filmmaker until these came out. But once they did, it was very apparent that the potential for this show was tremendous. For me personally, it was these episodes that made me a true fan. But was I in for a treat the following year when not one but two of my favorite horror films got the same treatment, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween, both of which covered obscure Atari 2600 games from an era when it was a technological achievement just to create a sprite that looked roughly human. The faithfulness to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies was just incredible in this. I loved the fast-paced editing, the great acting from both Mike Matei and Stephen J. Klasky, and then how it segues perfectly into Halloween. It's a Halloween time masterpiece.
Wasn't it kind of weird at the end when he runs away from Leatherface, then he gets stuck and he just gives up?
No way, it's hilarious! It was true to the game, and how Leatherface would get stuck on objects.
These videos are really movie-like. It's great to see the nerd getting out of the house and running around so much.
I know, right? I don't think the nerd got out like this again until the AVGN movie in 2014. I kept forgetting this was even just a video game review.
How could we forget a game like Haunted House? You play as eyeballs.
Those aren't eyeballs. That's just what happens whenever you turn out the lights and your eyes are still open.
Seriously?
Yeah, check it out. See? We're just eyeballs now.
Cool.
Number 10. The Atari Jaguar, from March 16th of 2009. This time the nerd takes out his anger on one of the most infamously terrible pieces of video game hardware ever made, the Atari Jaguar from 1993, a game console that tried to skip the 32-bit era of the coming PlayStation and Saturn and go straight to the 64-bit era. In theory, the nerd was at his best when sharing his personal experience with the past, and the excellent history lesson featured in this video is no exception. He talks about every single Atari console ever made, and perfectly explains the bit wars of the 90s, all in one well-written and well-edited video. One thing I really love about these hardware videos that the nerd does is that he actually has all of this hardware. I love watching him fumble around with all this stuff, pointing out their idiosyncrasies, like how the games have no end labels.
It's nice to take a break from complaining about bad games and just compare stuff like graphics.
Yeah, he makes a good point about the Jaguar's graphics. Where did the other 42 bits go?
So in part 2, the Jaguar is shown to be a pretty weird gaming console. Tempest? Attack of the Mutant Penguins? Maybe they needed to make something weirder than Mario and Sonic.
True. At least they had a good version of Doom though.
But with no music.
I like the nerd's game idea.
How about you're a shark and you gotta shake palm trees till trains fall down, and you put the trains in an apple, and then turkeys come and eat the apples, and then the turkeys go up waterfalls, and to get them down you have to collect monkey butts. So you drop the monkey butts on power lines, and then
I'd play that.
My favorite part is when he plays Racist Ninja.
Select your fighter, Tabaki. Select your opponent, Alaric.
You mean Kasume Ninja? That awful Mortal Kombat ripoff?
And then he plays Cybermorph, which asks the important question,
Where did you learn to fly?
And then his cat fights and kills the Jaguar. Great stuff.
Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9.
Akari Warriors, March 6th, 2013. In this episode, the nerd resurrects the skeleton of music guy Justin Kyle, who died behind his couch in a previous episode that we'll get to later, in order to get a second player for the infamously broken Akari Warriors for the NES. Of course, Justin Kyle is the guy who wrote and performs the Angry Video Game Nerd's original theme song, and he's made several appearances as himself before, but this is the episode where we really get to know him best. Personally, I've always thought James Rolfe performed best when collaborating with friends, and this episode is a testament to that, as you can really tell they had a lot of fun making this. And whenever that happens, the fun is contagious.
I love the special effects in this video. Watch Guitar Guy come to life behind the couch.
And then later he actually respawns inside of the couch after killing himself.
I've had it with this fucking game. I'm gonna blow my fucking brains out. ABBA. Oh, fuck.
It's a musical episode, and it's got us wondering, where did the hair go?
I live behind the couch. I live behind the couch. And now I'm back in front of the couch. And I saw scrotum guns. And the hairless. Where did the hair go? Sing it with me. Where did the hair go? I asked Rambo Commando, where did the hair go?
It looks like they're having a lot of fun. Why haven't we played Akari Warriors yet?
Because it sucks, and the only way to win is to cheat.
Number 8. Batman, July 2nd, 2008. This two-part classic about old Batman video games features one of the most famous appearances by the nerd's close friend and collaborator, Mike Matei, who dresses up as the Joker and eventually has a Commodore 64 box shoved inside of his rectum. Of course, opposite was the nerd, dressed as Batman with glasses. Oh man, I can't believe how many hours I spent playing that Commodore 64 Batman game.
Why is Batman white and blue?
He's gray and blue, because that's what Batman was before the goth kids from high school got to him, stripped him of his jock dignity, and made him one of their own.
No way, dude. Black Batman is way cooler. Look how badass his car is, and he can wall jump. But this game is an awful lot like Ninja Gaiden.
It is actually called Ninja Gaiden. More on that later.
I love how angry he gets playing Batman forever. If you like your nerds angry, then it doesn't get much angrier than this.
This is fucked beyond belief! It's like the controls in this game are like something you do for a cheat code, not a basic move that you have to do in order to play the game. Why do they program it in such an asinine, ball-brained, cockamamie, ridiculous fashion? It's like, geez, there's 4 buttons right in the front of the controller. Like, that's not enough to work with. Instead, they have to, like, program it, like, all into, like, weird kind of crazy button combinations and shit. It's like, what were they thinking? It's like, up is jump, select for the grappling hook. Select shouldn't even be part of the game. Select should be, like, for the menus or something. I mean, geez, like, were they trying to just ruin this game? Just flat out just fuck it up? Well, they did. Batman Forever, it sucked back then, and it sucks forever. Batman.
Oh man, it's the Joker.
In the best AVGN title card ever with the Batman theme song.
The rest of the second half is just a review of Batman vs. the Joker, but that ending is just amazing. Look at them fight! Yeah! Batman! Number 7. Game Glitches, July 8th, 2010. In this episode, the nerd provides an education on the trouble with glitches on old cartridge-based video games. He also teaches you how to clean your cartridges without having to buy expensive cartridge cleaners.
I mean, would you really need this to clean out a game? It's just as good for cleaning out your ass.
But this episode also features a bright green Kevin Finn doing his best impression of Darby O'Gill and the Little People. And it's awesome.
And I've got glitches in my britches for you, nerd. I've got
Because who doesn't love glitches? They're hilarious.
I love the dramatic way he introduces the glitch gremlin. You think he's speaking figuratively, but then this dude shows up.
Try and switch the game as you might, but I can switch my glitches tonight, huh?
How'd they do that? They couldn't have green screened him. I mean, look at him. He's green.
They probably used a blue screen or an orange screen.
Wow, he's killing him with a Q-tip.
But the best thing about this episode is where he teaches you how to cause glitches. They're awesome and it's fun to see a happy video game nerd.
My favorite is how he beats the boss at the end of Stage 2 of Double Dragon.
Don't feel like fighting the boss at the end of Stage 2? Well, don't. Just walk away. He doesn't even try to follow you, as if saying, fine, you fucking pussy.
Sometimes the best attack is to run away.
I never heard about Mario World -1 until I saw this video. It's like Miyamoto's Nightmare World.
Oh no, it's the glitch gremlin!
Top of the morning to ya. I'm here to delete your channel.
Oh, that's cool. I have a Q-tip.
No!
Number 6. The Berenstain Bears. October 18th, 2016. The Halloween episode from 2016, and one of only 5 episodes produced by Massacre in 2016, Berenstain Bears is an ambitious psychological thriller that's reminiscent of something Alfred Hitchcock would do. What starts off as a nostalgic examination of the Berenstain Bears in video games gradually implodes as the nerd comes to terms with and consequently educates his audience about the so-called Mandela effect, where stuff we all misremember appears for some to be evidence of either a conspiracy or even alternate realities.
You're turning the frogs gay!
The nerd has produced many fantastic Halloween episodes over the years, but this one was our favorite. Man, I read all these books. I loved them as a kid, especially the spooky old tree.
But did you play any of the video games?
Ah, hell no. I played good video games, like Herzog's Why.
I don't know, there's something special about this image. And once again, the nerd's game ideas are awesome.
I want to see the Bears in a spaceship, shooting an atom bomb through a basketball net. I want to see them riding through a lava river with robot cobras and nuclear sharks, passing footballs to electric tornadoes. That's extreme sports.
I love the Berenstain Bears for the Sega Genesis. Not because it's a great game, but because it has the greatest glitch ever featured on the Angry Video Game Nerd.
What? Whoa. Holy shit! I think it's a glitch. Do you think it's a glitch? I think it's a glitch. This is the mother of all glitches. When a game glitches this bad, it causes a glitch in the Matrix. The Matrix?
Look at the way life works. Look at the way they breathe in air and breathe out carbon dioxide. And the trees breathe in the carbon dioxide and breathe out air, but they keep chopping down the trees. They keep chopping down the trees. They don't care. They're like, who cares? I want paper. I want to wipe my ass with a tree. They just wipe their ass with trees. Literally, they grind millions of trees down every year and turn it into pulp so they can make paper to wipe their ass. They literally wipe their ass with nature.
This video takes a very surprising turn.
Yeah, it really does. I think it's cool that we get to go back to his old childhood home, but what in the heck happened?
I love the lighting in this episode.
Indeed, but the best thing was the bloodstained bears.
Ah! These are the real bad news bears!
The number of the day scheduled to arrive. The number of the day is 5.
Ninja Gaiden, February 4th, 2010. Kevin Finn, who played the glitch gremlin, makes his first appearance as a ninja who trains the nerd to beat one of the most difficult games in the NES library, Ninja Gaiden. So once again, this represents one of those rare times that the nerd reviewed a game that people actually liked, something we really wish happened more often. The editing in this episode is very crisp, and Kevin Finn is absolutely hilarious as he constantly spews Eastern platitudes meant to inspire the nerd to never stop trying to beat a game that's pretty close to impossible.
Oh, come on, how was I supposed to know a bat was coming?
A ninja must look beyond the borders of the screen.
Ninja Gaiden? I always thought it was Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about this video. It includes a discussion about how we couldn't pronounce the names of any of these Japanese characters. Like all those people who talk about Super Mario.
So you want to play Boggle or Super Mario Brothers?
I love the super clean green screen. Nice work, guys. And the backgrounds are cool.
I love how Kevin Finn moves all over the place in this. That level of athleticism is impressive for anyone who must have spent this much time on the couch getting good at Ninja Gaiden.
But whoa, he is really good at Ninja Gaiden.
And then the training montage starts, and those are always classic.
It's kind of funny that they show Kevin Finn not being able to beat the game.
Yeah, apparently it's unbeatable.
Someone's done it.
Fuck you! Ninja Gaiden, bitch. Or is it Ninja Gaiden? Haha.
Number 4, Crazy Castles. August 5th, 2009. On August 7th, 2007, Cinemassacre uploaded one of the most popular AVGN episodes of all time, about Bugs Bunny's birthday blowout. This episode famously featured the nerd relentlessly abusing Bugs Bunny, who randomly shows up to the nerd's game room purely for the absurdity of it.
I can't believe it, in my own house! It's Bugs Bunny! Bugs fucking Bunny!
The episode is great, we love it, but it's not quite as amazing as its 2009 sequel about crazy castles. Bugs Bunny returns, but this time he has the upper hand on the nerd, and he's there to force him to play every game in the ridiculous Crazy Castles series, which had sequel after sequel for some reason. The violence between the two characters has been elevated to a new level, and there's even a making of featurette out there that reveals how much blood, sweat, and tears went into making this second fight as action-packed and over-the-top as it is. Even the title cards for this were great, just like a real Bugs Bunny cartoon, which is what this episode basically is.
Unlike other AVGN videos, the craziness in this one starts off right away too.
And check out that kick in music. I love the audio in this episode.
But you want to play it.
No, I don't want to.
You do want to.
I don't want to.
You do want to.
I don't want to.
You do want to.
I don't want to.
You don't want to.
I do 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 want to. And you're not going to stop me.
And this video even has Kyle Justin, the music guy.
And then this happens.
Motherfucking nerd! Ain't I a stinker?
I mean, it's rabbit poop.
The realism. This is the greatest video format. Fight, play game for 2 seconds, fight, play game for 2 seconds, fight. Everything should be like this.
And just when you think it's over, it keeps going until you find Woody Woodpecker in Crazy Castles 5. Number 3. Seaman. July 28th, 2015. Proof that the angry video game nerd can be hilarious even after 2014, this episode is brilliant, perhaps because of the game in question above all else. Seaman is an absolutely bonkers game released in 1999 for the Sega Dreamcast that takes the concept of the digital pet to complex and even disturbing places. Watching the nerd come to terms with this game's insane premise and often surprising mechanics is extremely funny. Add to that a twisted ending and the fact that this entire episode is actually a slanted tribute to the passing of Star Trek legend Leonard Nimoy, and you have a recipe for true greatness.
I gotta do it for Nimoy! For Nimoy!
The Dreamcast is my favorite video game console of all time, but definitely not for Seaman.
Why?
Let's just say it's the second weirdest game on the Dreamcast.
I'm looking for some sailors. Sailors?
I love watching him fumble around with the Dreamcast controller in this. It's cool to see a Dreamcast controller being used at all.
Yeah, it's probably on loan from the History Museum.
The backstory in this game is wild. I love it.
It's something about Egyptian gods. Sounds like the backstory for a crazy space shooter or something. But no, it's for this thing.
And then we introduced the Famicom disk drive, and there was a certain word in a game there that got him a little distracted.
I regret to inform you that Seaman has passed away.
Number 2, NWC, the Nintendo World Championships, August 26, 2011. In the days when the angry video game nerd was rocking game trailers, Pat the NES punk was helping to carve out a niche for retro gamers on YouTube. With a literally encyclopedic knowledge and complete collection of NES games, Pat was the perfect dude to guest star on this brilliant episode that saw the nerd pitted against the punk in a Nintendo showdown to see who would be the rightful owner of not one, but 2 copies of the ultra-rare Nintendo World Championships cartridge. Game cartridges that are incidentally actually owned by Pat in real life, and which actually found their way to an episode of Pawn Stars, with Pat included.
These are the most coveted video games on the planet.
So do you have to blow in it to start the game?
Probably. That'll never change no matter what Nintendo game you have.
The writing in this episode is top-notch, and this isn't just one of the greatest angry video game nerd videos of all time, but it's one of Pat Contree's greatest performances as the eccentric and perhaps crazy Pat the NES punk. The guy talks to a toy monkey, for crying out loud. And this guy.
Damn aliens. Always after our women. You ever notice that? Why don't they get their own girls?
I love the intro that explains the Nintendo World Championship and its connection to Fred Savage and Mario 3. Is this like the 3rd or 4th time that the nerd has talked about this?
I love the way Pat acts right here.
It's fake, sorry to say.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. It's not real at all. I just spent thousands of dollars on a fake game.
Man, this video has aged a bit. The last I checked, one of these went for $13,000.
The reaction to finding the gold cartridge in the box was amazing. The music and lighting were perfect.
Yeah, this whole episode shines with polish and precision. I mean, look at Pat's hair. It's perfect.
Look at Pat's hair now.
Ugh.
Once again, Pat's performance in this is really funny.
No, I really wanted all those fine games. I needed another copy of Super Mario Duck Hunt. I'm making a coffee table out of them.
Number 1, Rob the Robot, March 3rd, 2011. Episode 100 of the Angry Video Game Nerd was originally set to be the series' grand finale, killing the nerd off once and for all, and effectively giving James Rolfe the chance to move on to other things. Obviously, that's not how things turned out, but James gave this episode his all, as he must have used damn near every movie-making trick he ever learned throughout his many years of making independent movies. For his grand finale, the nerd goes up against the original NES accessory that was packaged alongside the game console in 1985, as a way to essentially trick American consumers into getting back into the video game market that they abandoned after the demise of Atari. Rob the Robot was a clunky, redundant accessory designed to make the NES look like a futuristic educational tool for learning robotics. But as the nerd finds out in this episode, it was not only a ridiculous idea with unbelievably clumsy game mechanics, it might very well be evil. Will the nerd survive his final battle with an evil toy robot that's become self-aware? Of course he will, and it's funny.
Rob the robot looks really cool, but how does he move like that?
And why does he sound like Kyle Justin, the music guy?
I am Rob, robotic operating buddy.
They were 1 octave away from talking the same?
I love this part. Gyros are really yummy. I can't believe he actually stopped to make a gyro.
How does he even know how to make one? Is he Greek?
That guy looks like a fun board game.
Yeah, it really does. Can you imagine if the angry video game nerd reviewed board games? How awesome would that be? Maybe we'll talk about that next year.
For me though, my favorite part is when he sawed apart player 1 and player 2 controllers to duct tape them together so he can make the Gyromite controller.
So there you have it. Our top 12 favorite angry video game nerd episodes of all time. But believe me, there were a ton of episodes that we loved that were not included here. What other web show produced so many great episodes over so many years? The Angry Video Game Nerd is a legend.
But it's a little different now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. It's not quite the same since the show became a part of Screenwave. It's different, you know? Something made by a committee, or with outside influences that have kind of sidetracked the show a bit. The nerd's almost too angry now. He's less like the lovable James Rolfe and more like a wild, staring character. He moves less. The camera's static, and none of the personalities that contributed to what made the original show so great are left. Even Mike Matei quit Cinemassacre in December of 2020. Cinemassacre as a channel still persists, but with people I don't know.
Are you guys ready for a Cinemassacre video without James Rolfe in it?
Without James Rolfe in it?
I don't know, man. I think I liked it the other way.
Me too. But you know, people change. Our circumstances, goals, and priorities change over time.
That's it. We just ran out of time because I have to be done at 5:40 right now. And
so what's going to happen is
exactly 5:40.
Next time you see this, James is going to beat this on his own.
I'll try, yeah.
Without me, because the way we record, so.
Yeah. Okay, just to make it clear, again, what happened was that we ran out of time, and I had to watch the kids. And after the family went to sleep, I pretty much had to pass out too. And now it is 4 a.m. I am up again. And so Mike isn't here for this. But we will be joined by my youngest daughter, my 9-month-old, on the baby monitor. So in some way, she will be joining us for this epic conclusion, hopefully.
It's unreasonable to expect the nerd to make exactly the same type of content that he made in his 20s, before he had kids to take care of. We have to keep this in mind. A whole subset of the internet is devoted to lambasting the nerd now. They're so mad about all these changes since Screenwave stepped in that they're more obsessed with the angry video game nerd than ever. There is literally nothing James can say or do without them noticing and turning it into a mean-spirited meme meant to tear down their former hero.
One of our writers had somehow added a portion that was taken from a pre-existing article. That's unacceptable, and all of us here apologize for letting that sneak in.
It's like he was the dad that left them.
Yup, he was their big ol' internet daddy. And he taught them all how to love old video games. But then he got himself a new family, and now they're pissed.
Every member of Screenwave is a giant scumbag. James hates the nerd videos. And he hates you. Because you have forced him to make those videos for almost 20 years. He doesn't even like video games that much. He has wasted his creative prime making junk for you, and he hates you for it. So now he takes your money and he lies to your face because he knows that you will never leave him.
Wow, that's sad.
It really is. But you know what's not sad? A 40-year-old man who loves and serves his family the best he can. That's badass. And yeah, okay, fine, the new episodes mostly suck. I think the last great season was in 2016, like 5 years ago. But still, you can't take away from what the nerd has accomplished. Even if his career was just these 12 episodes, it would be amazing. But no, he's got endless good episodes. And we would know, because we forced ourselves to watch all of them. Show me one dude at the Cinemassacre Truth that's made one good episode of anything. Maybe they're out there, but I sure as hell have never heard of them.
Anyway, enough of that stuff. The Nerd is great, and so is Monster Madness and Board Games.
And the bullshit, man.
And the AVGN movie.
Dude, that was epic.
Well, maybe not the movie so much.
Well, I like it.
See? Someone likes it. And we love the Angry Video Game Nerd. Well, it's getting late. Let's go get some candy.
Okay, dude.
Happy Halloween!
Bye-bye now.